Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'll repeat that. Ladies and gentlemen. And I guess we can throw in some youth too. But the 5th of May, Cinco de Mayo. And we'll acknowledge that. And actually, that was when Mexico beat the French. And that is not celebrated all over the world. Maybe in some spots they don't celebrate in Mexico. But we're going to acknowledge because it's something that is a celebration that Mexico beat France. And we got a great day planned for you today, which is tomorrow, which is Mother's Day. Now, it used to be during this time of year that people wore, they either wore a red rose or coronation. And that was to signify about the mother is still with us. Then the ones whose mother departed, they wore white coronations or white flowers. But it's a day that we all will remember, whatever day it is, in May, about our mothers. What we're going to do is kind of reach back and ask our folks to give us the origin of Mother Day and then give us what he did for his mother's passing. So I take it away.
Okay, Mr. Richard, thank you very much. My name is Ira Fowlkes, the founder and CEO of the Missouri Chamber of Commerce, and also one of the producers of the International Gifts to this show every Saturday. Today, well, I should say tomorrow is Happy Mother's Day for people around the country. The Mother's Day was officially was started by a young lady named Miss in the early 1990s. The result of the efforts of Anna Jarvis. She was the daughter of Anne Reeve Jarvis. And following her death in 1905, Anna Jarvis conceived the idea of having a Mother's Day, a way of honoring the sacrifices of all the mothers that the mothers made for their children. The word sacrifice is that, all of our mothers, did something very special when she got us here. And so this became an official day in the year 1914. That's when the United States had its first official Mother's Day. MC was mentioned when I did, my mother died in 1984. And I did her eulogy, and she was fortunate to have been married 3 times, and 2 of her husbands passed. And her name was, the name of this is mother. My mother's name was Elizabeth Jones Folks Reed Dawson. What is the mother made of? Of course, we said flesh and feeling, and many other earthly things. But the one thing all mothers are made of is love. Our mother was made of love, not like the love of a man or a child. Every lover has a heart with which to love, for that is warm and loving. But for all the warmth and tenderness, there is not a love like our mother's love. Every day she faced the world for better or for worse. And each day she succeeded, and the love of her children grew each day. She worked hard for what she believed in. She always did. Remember the magic words, please and thank you. Elizabeth John Folks Regals, your friend and our mother, as we come to bid you farewell, we all must reflect. She was a great woman, a mother who loved her family, her church, and her children. I met Elizabeth John Folks Regals on a cold day in January in Dallas, Louisiana. It was just she, myself, and a midwife. She gave me a life. She was our originator. She was a strong woman raised by God who guided her until her last breath. And from the last breath, from the last day on earth until June 28, 1984, was the day of her appeal that she passed away. She was our friend to my brother and my sister. Let me tell you, our mother left us peaceful and content. Jamaica loved her and needed her more than we did. And we say his life today for the first time in 36 years is George, Jean, and Ira. The children of Elizabeth Jones Regal. We were all she ever had, so we must be strong because our mother was the strongest woman that I ever met. And my sister and my brother have both passed away and went on to heaven to be with her. So I thank you for everything allowing me to read that today.
Well, I was wondering, that's yours, and I know my mother. Oh, man, we missed the mothers. Not to say that we didn't miss the fathers, which that's forthcoming in June, but I want to know, before I say some other things about my experience, from Mr. Scott Owen, tell us about mothers and Mother Day and what you think of it and how you celebrate and what you remembered.
Well, believe it or not, I have 3 mothers.
That's what they say. That's a real mother for you.
I have an adopted mother, which I knew first. She adopted me when I was like 8 days old, and brought me up in a family in New York. And then my father divorced and got married to another of my mothers, which I consider my stepmother, really wonderful person, and I try to call her every Mother's Day. And then finally, since I was adopted, I had a natural mother, which I didn't even know who she was until 2 years ago. So, and she's passed away about 4 years, so I remember all 3 mothers on Mother's Day. So that's the way I look at it.
Well, that's really good. Good background. Something that all the world, a lot of them have mothers and stepmothers, adopted mothers.
Yeah.
But the mother was real. Like if you look in the Italian community or the Hispanic now community, it's the mothers that run the show. The men bring in the money, but the mother runs the household and the show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. A lot of houses, in the black houses also.
Mm-hmm. Well, what would happen? Say if you would get managed or whatever the term they use that your mother wanted to whoop you, the mothers would send you outside to get the wrenches to make up the switch to beat you with. The mother made you go out and select and put the switches together.
Well, in my family, it was Dad who didn't need a switch because he had a belt.
Well, technically speaking, I was raised by my auntie, who was my guardian, and she would administer the switch and the belt. But at the early age, she would send me out to get a switch. And we had a lot of peach trees in our yard and fig trees. We had a lot of different choices, but I remember the first one I got a little like most of us do a little flimsy, switch. Bad idea. Then she went and got the real deal, and the rest is history.
Oh, I remember the mothers beating. They would, put you between their legs while they beat you, boy. Imagine that.
Yeah. But you see nowadays, with there's been so many changes, But the one thing that I will tell you, when I got 3 daughters, and happy Mother's Day to them around the country. But and they did. My mother. One thing I learned when I was with her, the later part of my life, that she didn't have to get a switch. She just looked at me a certain way.
Right.
And that look, served the purpose that was needed. Because immediately, I would get in the check. Knew that I had crossed the border into the wrong area in my life, and I was about to pay for it. And that's when she introduced me to the switch.
Okay. Was the switch ever used on you, Scott, to keep you in place?
Not that I remember. Like I said, the belt was the tool of choice.
one of them ever smack you around?
Yep. My mother would tell on me, of course.
Well, you know what he said. Them mothers have some look. Like I just said earlier, they didn't have to say something, anything. They gave you that look, boy.
Yeah,
Especially if you're out misbehaving out in the public.
That's a fact. That was the look. That was interesting.
Well, you know, we also had the Sorrells had Mama Said and told them about their story and their love life. But then, you know, it could be the spouse, the male or the female. They had likes and dislikes for mother-in-laws, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the mother-in-law could be real, and they normally control the stuff also. And if you get along with that mother-in-law, a lot of times the people call mother-in-laws to babysit for them.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah.
We happen to be the grandparents of three adorable grandkids, and we watch them all the time.
And anybody out there listening on YouTube, Facebook, would say listen to Sin. Also, Apple TV, Smart, and iPhone, and the broadcasters, podcasters. You can type in what they call it, text in something, and people in the studio would like to hear from you, and then they'll just pass that word on. This is Mother Day, and a lot of people. Tomorrow is a big day. We're talking about. It used to be a tremendous day in the florist shops, where people would buy flowers, roses. Some people buy one rose and say I might have this backward. That the other rose was the one that they wanted, okay? Or if they had 11 roses, the single one was for them, okay? We have that, and a lot of people take mothers out to brunches on Sundays.
Sure.
And take them out to wine and dine them.
Make them feel good, because if Mama's happy, everybody's happy.
Yes, Mama's happy, Dad is happy, and all the kids are happy. But guess what? One of the things, okay, unfortunately, when we were kids, Mama would also cook our own meal, okay, because we didn't have any money to talk about, taking on a dinner. We were just happy that she let us sit at the table, and after we get off in church, we have we would have dinner waiting for us. So Mother's work was never done.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're enjoying this show as much as we are enjoying it. But like I said, if you...
Well, let me ask you a question. What were some of the memories that you remember of your mother? And my mother passed away when I was 35 years old, and I will say this to anyone, and, that I know, that you may know, please respect your mother. And I think one of the things I have, I'm sorry to say, that I see a lot of young people nowadays, old people also, who do not respect their mothers, and they take them for granted. And then when they died, all of a sudden, they crying them out. But the mother's the one that will always stick to you. Something happens to somebody on TV, they kill somebody, and say, the mothers are always one to say, my child's a good child. She's going to stick with you through thick and thin.
Yeah, that's true. Not my son, not my daughter.
Yeah, not my son.
Yeah. That's true, and it's just like everywhere you went, like my mother, when I got in the Navy, and I was, one thing she was afraid to get on was not the elevator, what's the other one?
Oh, escalators.
Yeah, escalators. She didn't want to get on that, but we had to hold her down to put her in the elevator. But she would follow me from train all the way back when I was hometown Kansas City, but San Diego where I had boot camp and what have you. And she would follow me all the way back. And them mamas were they would check on you too, boy. It's just like the Miracles had the song where the mother said, you better shop around. Their mama had to okay anybody you was messing with. And she might not tell them that, but she'll give you the look, and she'll tell you that you got to listen. And sometimes Paul would say something, but he's just happy because he might have been a womanizer at the time.
I remember when I was dating, a lot of young ladies would always try to get close to your mother. And my mother would always tell them, I'm going to tell you up front. Give me all the gifts, but he doesn't listen to me, okay? So if you're trying to, get me on your side, hoping that's going to make a difference, okay? I'm not the one. And these are not, okay, the ladies that I actually married. Ladies that, first two wives when she was alive, they weren't actually, the ones that she chose for me. So she was right, I did choose my own wives.
Well, if you're just tuning in, we're doing a very special broadcast, and the men running the show. We wish we had some help from the ladies. Like I said, you can catch us on Facebook or YouTube and Apple TV, and you could just text if you got a question, this, that, and another. But we're really, this is a show that wasn't planned on, but like we can always put things together. If you want to go back to Chicken George and that deal, the Chicken George approach, whereas this is a backup deal, but it's something that happens all the time. Now, if you want to go to the different cultures now, like we talked about, if you notice, Mexicans at the time, before they became Hispanics, once we got the guy, the Bandinos or whatever, if you notice, they always kept a woman with them. They kept that mother with them wherever they traveled to. They kept them, and that woman had a special place in their lives. Like mothers have a special place in our lives, whether they're gone or they. Hopefully, some are still with us. But it's a mother in charge.
Well, see, one of the things, okay, the respect for the mother seem to have, in some cases, not all cases, weaned, away. But one of the things that we can always glad to think about is how when we've been nurtured, okay, and what else, somebody that gave us the rights and the wrongs, the do's and the don'ts, and those were the rules, by the way, that we did not break, so to speak. Once my mother said, "Don't do this," sure, we would do it when she didn't see us. Around the corner, okay. But one thing we did know that somebody's going to tell us about that. And matter of fact, most of us were raised, I wasn't raised in a big city, but every lady in the community, especially with my mama, because the person going to tell on me if I did something wrong, they was like, they want to make sure I did the right thing. And I would be kind of, had a spanking or whipping coming my way. And in some communities right now, they still spank kids. But unfortunately, nowadays, kids are calling on their mothers and their fathers, and now with all the new rules that they're creating now in the world for people, most parents cannot even discipline kids like they used to.
Well, like when the youth, that would be male or female, when they get in trouble or taken to jail or whatever, a lot of people, they might not have money to call a lawyer, but they want to call mama to get them out of trouble.
Well, she'd be the first person on your list. Matter of fact, there's a commercial out right now by the late James Brown, have to be part of this family through one of my previous marriages, it's called It's a Man's World. At the end of the song, he said there will be nothing without the mother or that small girl.
Well, I was out in California when that was real hot after Bewildered. It's a man's world, be nothing without a woman or a girl. And he had plenty of girls.
Matter of fact, that whole family, James Brown was married. He had spent a lot of single time, and he was married more than one time, and he, matter of fact, he lived a delightful dream person. The family that he came from wasn't exactly rich, but he took care of all of his family, his mothers, and all the women in the family. James did take good care of them.
Okay.
He did respect the females in his life. and there may be some stories, okay, that James Brown did a lot of crazy stuff, okay. But the music that he produced, okay, he respect, the females, that like you said, it's a man's world, but the mother and that little small girl, is what it's all about. And then, like I got daughters myself, and I have been blessed with more. Oh my God, grandkids. Matter of fact, my oldest granddaughter, down in Macon, Georgia, just had her first prom this past month, and she took some pictures of it. And also, I'm happy to say that she received a scholarship to one of the universities down in Georgia, where she's a basketball and track star, and she received a full ride down there. So again, she's probably gonna make some man a very happy person sometime in the future. Which I hope is a long time, by the way. And I had my first I had my oldest great granddaughter. Had a little girl. We call her Princess Grace, and she's down in Denver, Colorado. And this is her first Mother's Day. Also, Brittany, we have the Mother's Day also.
Scott, did any of your mothers did they ever get attracted to own a motorcycle like you got?
No. I would believe that my biological mother might have, because she was supposed to be a really fun-loving girl. But no, my stepmother is the one that's alive right now, and she wouldn't get on my motorcycle. I guarantee it.
Well, did any of them, the mothers, grow up on a farm where they could ride horses, know how to operate the tractors?
I'm not aware of that. I really am not.
My mother did. She was raised on a farm, and she could cook, did all those things. But I will say, in her case, they would pick cotton. They would also not ride on the tractors. Okay, did not drive them. I would say one funny thing experience of my mother. Okay, that she would drive. In the country, okay, they didn't actually have they had roads, but not paved roads and stuff. She would drive a car, and she'd be all over the place. And I'll never forget when I got my second car. Took her out for a ride. We ran into the park, and she asked me to let her drive. And we in the car, and your mother asked to let her drive. What do you say? Well, naturally, I said yes. And my mother started out, going, almost spinning the car around. And I had to say, hey, stop, okay, because the problem was that my mother was used to driving with a clutch. And that's what you got, you had to use 2 feet. And so she was trying to use the gas and the brake that was automatic car I had, and she was trying to use both of them at the same time. And it wasn't working out too well. We was going down sideways, and thank God we were in the car. But she had my car once we got out of it. Also, fun memories and stuff.
Well, my grandmother was married to a horse trainer, actually, if I remember correctly. But that was when they were in Wales. So I'm sure my grandmother on my father's side was able to ride horses and stuff like that.
Okay, now, Scott, where on the map is Wales located? That's part of the British colony, isn't it?
Well, Wales is north of England, Great Britain. So it's part of the United Kingdom right there. But it's another small country. They have their own, I guess they have their own language that's based off of English. But that's where my adopted father's family migrated from.
I know on my father's side of the family, the folks side of the family, that we come from we had a family crest that goes back to 2012. And I want to say, Scott, that the press company had Wales was part of the line of the country that they came from. My family also. These may be some distant cousins here, Scott. Who knows? That's when you start doing that family tree. You never know. You see, why you bragging here, okay, and not about us, okay, but you have some. You should be proud of your daughters that you have, who are also our mothers. Because I know one of your daughters right now. Her son is down at University of Alabama. And I know you're proud of her. MC, you still there?
I'm learning.
Okay, your daughters that actually they come over and check on you. Tell them about her.
Oh well, we had a talk today, and they had to. My daughter and my granddaughter is like a sister to my daughter, and they always trying to team up on me. Oh boy, they back one another up, this, that, and the other. I haven't seen any of them that just get out and say, not my daddy. Well, Gina used to do that when her mama used to tell you better not go up to that house because we were divorced. And I heard a knock on the door. I said, who is it? Gina. And so Gina's the mother of 4 kids. As a matter of fact, her daughter, who just turned 35 this week, a mother of 4 kids, and looked like the other girl, Jordan, kept her last name of Richardson. She's getting ready to have her 3rd child, and all the children are named C's. She got Corey, she got Carol, and the girl that's supposed to be born in July, she already named her Kelly. And Lauren had 4 kids. She had Jermaine, who has got a 4-year scholarship in football, and she has one the only girl, what's her name? Janae, I think. She just turned 15 today.
Wow.
And they call me Paw Richardson, and which is my birthday. But my oldest grandchild told me that her birthday was the 3rd and not the 4th, and she didn't want me to forget it. And I'll talk to you later. Well, she is one that's the board member at large for the state of North Carolina in tax preparation. That's her deal. And all of my family seem like they kind of got into the medical field. But when you talk about the Richardson and the Cogs, they're all over the nation. Hopefully we'll see them in September. But you got a lot of, and my main thing is for them to education. And I was like married to Barnes & Noble. But the only problem I have with Barnes & Noble now that I'm a senior citizen, I'm really a senior citizen with the age of 82, and the books are in the regular print, and I try to get them in large print. Well, if you get them in large print, like the last book I got, I think you already got it, I heard about the 1619 project.
Yes.
The larger print, well, the smaller print, the regular print, normal print, was $32. The larger print is $40. Well, it's just so happened I'm a member and I get a 10% discount, but a lot of people, when you get seniors, it's kind of hard for you to see to read. And I got a whole library, got magnifying glass, some work and some doesn't.
Oh, yeah, I tested your library. I've been to visit your home there, and books you do have. And all of them not on the shelf.
Yeah. Hey, you're supposed to be not sneaking around here. You like you know where everything is.
Well, I've been blessed to spend many a weekend when I come to Kansas City with MC. That's my home away from home, And I also had my wife's approval also, and we go back many years, okay? And I do know, MC, that in Yuma you have a lot of young ladies that's involved in there that's celebrating Mother's Day for their kids also.
Yep. And we'll be celebrating, our anniversary date is 28th. So it'll be 48 coming this August. And the other guy we trying to get to be more accurate. He's fast now as a yard bird. Charlie Bryant. His birthday is on the 29th of August. So we're trying to make some moves to get him closer to the black community, because he's buried in the Lincoln Cemetery here in Kansas City. But Charlie Parker, I said Brian. I mean Parker.
I said Parker. You said Brian.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Well, we got Charlie right.
Your name I didn't know of, so I just kept my mouth shut there. But now, one thing, matter of fact, you mentioned about Yuma. The United Minority Media Association is one of the oldest. It is the oldest black media association in the country, and predates a lot of other organizations. And it's going strong, okay, because alumni is very, very, very strong. And also, you've been the founder of it and, and the leader of it for all those years.
Well, that's true. And we're looking to upgrade things, make a lot of changes, and getting more youth involved. It's just like our youth don't know the history of their own culture. And they used to have, back in the day, they used to have storytellers to keep them up to date. But they know every song going, and they got all the technology and that electronic brains, we might say, because they know how to operate that, and it's very difficult for some of the senior citizens unless they learn. First, we thought the computer was top, but they got other things like, say, for example, the iPhone, probably a smartphone too. You can do everything on it. Then they got the tablets. And that's something I have to learn how to do, and because you can't function if you don't know how to operate the new technology or the equipment that they throw out. They throw it out every day. But
you're right there, because right now, on my cell phone and most of our cell phones nowadays, you have, in those days we were kids that had encyclopedias that people have at the library. But any book in the library, you can Google it in any story you want right now on your telephone. And like I said, I've been blessed to have a tablet and a laptop in the laptop in the tablet. But my phone is the one that we all keep with us. And matter of fact, MC, anywhere we go nowadays, we taking our cell phone with us. Am I right, gentlemen?
That is correct. It was a time when I used to travel to Washington and other places, that if you made a call in a different state, they would charge you for it.
Yeah.
But that's not true. But while we're talking about telegraph, telephone, and telewoman, we're celebrating Mother's Day, and it's a very sure. I always thought about the guy that grew up, Russell Limbaugh, and he used to have those different reality shows. But also here, the only way people can get the latest news, and it's on really radio versus television. But nowadays, some of them, and they got their cell phones now, can tell you everything. But we just want to tell all you mothers that we're wishing you a happy Mother's Day, and the future mothers, they can say, I always say, Father knows best, but don't say that in front of the mothers.
All right, right now, one of the things, the foundation, like even with the biblical Bible, okay, when Christ became a reality, he was born, of a woman, and also, on those same lines, in the Bible, we talked about this, I'm not sure, sometime that man was here first, and he couldn't get anything done. Then that's when woman was created as our helper, and the world has never been the same since. And behind most successful men, there's a woman someplace in their life, that's always prodding him, or directing him, or reminding him of something he did not do or need to get done. And in your case, you've been surrounded by a lot of women in your organization that you have to keep you on the straight and narrow, which I do know.
Well, also you said with the organization Human, but what about the churches? It's the women that make things. Now, they might have people up there, the preachers and people as the women that make things happen, and they keep everything under control.
Oh yes, matter of fact, you know, if you went to the black church, you know, all the you know the decorations there, you know, not the decoration, even like, you know, in the pulpit there, everything is in place. That's a woman putting those things in order. When the pastor sits down, okay, he got his water glasses there for him. When the choir sings, everything is there, and there's normally a piano player, organ player. That's directing the choir, you know, and making sure that all the music there, that's actually the backbone of most churches. And, you know, but now in most cases, the woman is not actually seen, but nowadays the woman is more visible than they were before, and it's about time.
Well, you know, I was trying to think we said men, and what I couldn't think of at the time were most of the men were the deacon. Now, I don't know if they have any female deacons or not. I don't know that. Not to say they don't have.
Now they do have deaconesses, they call now, not deaconess.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, I tell you, the church has gravitated over the years to incorporate, you know, we now have female pastors. We have, you know, sometimes we have some in different churches, different denominations, they have female bishops also.
Well, Scott, we don't want to leave you out.
It's okay if you leave me out.
No, Scott has a beautiful little granddaughter, you know, that keeps him busy, by the way.
Oh, I have a granddaughter who's 7 now. I have a grandson who's 1, and I have another granddaughter who is about 5 months. So grandson's about 1.5, I guess, and granddaughter's 5 or 6 months. So.
Oh, the Scott's name, the tradition, the Owen name will continue.
Well, the Owen name runs through my son, I guess. He's in Springfield, Missouri.
Yes, you know. You know, and that's one of the things, okay, that in most cases, the mothers of the young ladies are also the historians in the family also.
Well.
They're the ones that can tell us, you know, who is who. You know, as a matter of fact, they're the ones that also kind of keeps the family tree line straight, and also about who your cousins are.
I have my aunt is the genealogist in our family.
Yes.
How far does it go back?
Oh, she's gotten back to at least the 1700s in Germany and England.
Okay.
So, but you know, yeah, she has given me a book of the genealogy, and it's actually pretty interesting. She even has a book of my birth genealogy. So she's done a lot of work on that.
Wow, I know on my wife's side of the family, she's very much a genealogist for her family, and unfortunately on the folks' family, with me, my brother and sister being dead, I'm kind of the genealogist. But my daughters, I'm passing it on to them, you know, but matter of fact, most recently I just got involved with me in 23. That's one of the genealogy services. You know, but I do know that my family, I think, go to the 1200s in Wales and stuff. You know, but you know that we had a family crest. That's why Scott was interesting when you said that the family, you know, is also part of the Wales banner, I should say. You know, for countries, I should say. I remember MC, one of our very good friends. We have to keep in mind, you know, he's in the weather right now, called Price. Who's always want to tell me that my family came over on the slave ship from Africa, and I had to, sometimes had to stop and correct him. You know, on my father's side, my mother's side maybe, but on my father's side, I said no. We were here. We can go back before the United States was even created. I know that I didn't come over on a slave ship initially.
Well, they really look at it, and that was I was talking to, I call them American Indians, but they said Native American. I think black folks was over here before them. But anyway, and overseas, say England and those different places, uh, when you talk about reality, this Native American was telling me that his girlfriend was his second cousin. Well, my family, my mother didn't play that. It could be the 20th cousin. But they didn't play that. You're talking about incest or what have you. But over in England, in order to keep them the royal blood or whatever, they would marry cousins and relatives and to keep everything within their family. And here, that's basically a no-no.
Well, that's because of genetics. You tend to increase the risk of having mutations, such as the Habsburg jaw. They had a extremely big jaw because they inbred.
Yeah, there were other things that, matter of fact, I know my wife, they have a very big family, and in fact, I have some very good friends, okay, that had family members that had married, and they were found out they were in the same family, and they got divorced, okay, because they did not want to have any kids, and that was stress prevalent in the black community. That if you found out that you was married to a cousin by accident, divorce in the future, because they didn't have kids. That was a great no-no. Now, for all the reasons that comes about, okay, there's a lot of different myths and things out there for that reason, okay. But I was fortunate for me in my case, I did not marry any of my cousins. Although I had some cute cousins, though. We did not, even cross our mind about. Matter of fact, one of my cousins, it was really, really funny, and she told out today, her best friend was dating me, and and she was dating one of my very good football friends, okay, and we used to laugh at each other saying that we love each other, we got along with each other better than they did, the people that in fact, we didn't want to take Cupid for them, by the way, like most cousins do for each other.
And Scott, we're not leaving you out.
No, I'm listening patiently. This is a good show.
Really, okay. When you to have men discuss, the people discussing, Mother's Day, and I kind of stayed away from this, MC, but we would be remiss if we didn't mention right now. I mentioned on my program, which we had, a very lively show, and we had men talking about this discussion about most recently. There's been a crack in the system, whereas if the Supreme Court, someone leaked a draft leading to abortion, and that's something that affects all of the females in our lives. Whereas, us men, one thing we all said, nobody can tell me what to do. I can do what I want to do, how I want to do it, when I want to do it, blah, 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 blah. But now, it's now seeming though that women are about to be told what they can and not do with their bodies, and that's creating a hell of a rift in our entire country all of a sudden.
You're right. That's, you're absolutely right. Well, if you want to talk about parties, it's normally the Republicans that they try to stop everything and let's say enjoy that. They try to, I understand they've got a lot of states on take care of keep the certain lines to keep the people so they can stay in charge. Like a lot of Secretary of States are Republican, and the Secretary of States normally control that particular state.
Right, and see, there's some states that they have, okay, that will become some laws that we're going to affect right away. When Missouri is one of those states, and unfortunately, usually Missouri has one of the one of the most craziest things. If in fact you and your wife, okay, was traveling to Chicago back home, and you stopped over in St. Louis or Kansas City and made love, and then all of a sudden you pop up as a baby, they can go back, okay, the way Missouri law is written, and charge the hotel keeper there as and prosecute them, okay. If something happened, your mother or father, they had decided that they want to, divorce, get a abortion or something, that they have made this, so many people can be prosecuted. That not even part of the system or the equation, but just they've been around a person, and now with the technology that we have in our cell phones, they're young ladies now. Oh my God, their lives are open books now. And that's the thing that they're talking about. That that now it was a family private matter, but now most young ladies tell their girlfriends they got these Facebook pages and all kinds of technology and text and stuff like that. Well, if they text somebody that they think they're pregnant or whatever pregnant, they can be prosecuted. Somebody can pass on to somebody and they can be prosecuted. So this is a hell of a problem, a mess that we just, a hornet's nest is about to be stirred up. And I think you mentioned about the Republicans. That's mainly because that for the last, most of the Republicans, have always been against Roe versus Wade, and that's been a hallmark of their things they want to get done with overturn that. And so for the first time, it's almost about to take place, and that's why you hear the Republicans, because the last three justices were appointed by President Donald Trump, whereas now they all said they wouldn't do that, go against Roe versus Wade, and now they all voted to get rid of Roe versus Wade, and that's why the Republicans' name keep popping up in there. You got some Democrats in there also, but the majority of them are Republicans.
Well, the other thing about Republican Democrats, and one thing coming up soon, it'll be elections. And whereas we don't get out and exercise the right that has been given us, then a lot of us are very certain still don't go out and vote, not knowing that what controls everything.
Yeah, well, that's one thing we talked about today on our show. Guess who coming to not to consider by Channel Commerce that most, we talk about the Supreme Court, but they are put on the courts by the president, which we vote to get them elected, and then we vote for our senators to get them elected. So those are the people, okay, that we, like you just said, we put them in office. And they're there to do our business, and they're supposed to reflect our thoughts and concerns. And that's where we also run into another nowadays, that the people that we elect do not always reflect our thoughts and our concerns.
That's true, and then one of the powerful entities, if you're going to look at the faith place or religion, the Jehovah's Witness do not vote, and they're powerful in numbers. And I remember the Muslims used to vote, but a lot of them are voting now. They're going and getting registered, and a lot of people don't know what their vote means. A lot of them might say that, well, my vote won't count, and there's been a lot of elections that have been decided on one vote.
I tell you a little short story. One of my close friends at high school, we went to different schools. He was a high jumper. And late on in life, okay, I became involved in politics here in St. Louis. And this young man was working for the city on a part-time basis. And he had wanted to get the job on a full-time basis. Well, as it turned out, his neighbor across the street was a state representative, and her son was also the alderman. And so I went to her and asked him, to endorse my friends, getting the job, okay. Right away, she reminded me, he's a Jehovah's Witness. He don't even vote. I said, I tell you what, he don't vote, okay? But I'm gonna vote for him for you. I support you the rest of my life, no matter what you do. But please let him have this job. So that's why most of those churches are not aware how incorporated politics is into their lives.
You know, since we're doing a special show, we want to make sure all mothers are registered and
daughters too.
right. Well, with the other one, I'm going to try to get in there that I just couldn't find that right adjective or adverb or whatever to instill and get the people out there voting. And I know a lot of, we're talking about religion, a lot of churches get involved, and they have the church buses or the different buses that will take the people to vote. And a lot of us just don't exercise that. And then on the job, a lot of jobs are allowing their workers certain time off to go vote.
Now, you see, there are certain states now, okay, that and in Georgia, where they do not want the churches, okay, to use their buses to take people to the polls. Because in Georgia, one thing they would do is you go to church, they would leave church and go register to vote. Go vote, okay, after this. And so right now, certainly the laws that are being passed against the churches being involved in the political system.
Well, what's that old saying, the separation between church and state, and a lot of them exercise it and a lot of them don't. We have a lot of preachers that hold a political office.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was talking to my co-host. President Trump was our last president, was the first president in my lifetime who did not attend church on a regular basis. He was out on the golf course. But most of the church, the presidents in the past, okay, they were all in church every Sunday. And he was not one of the people president that went to church.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we're getting ready, coming to, once again, the close of this show, and hope that you enjoyed it, and hope that you learned something, and hope that, I tell you what, not only Texan, guess who come to Kansas City, or the Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce, but Texan and Scott, if somebody wanted to send in a letter, we hopefully congratulate what we do here on this station. How might who should they direct the letter or address the letter to?
Ira, that's on you.
Well, okay, right now, I always tell people I'm on the MC Richardson show. Guess who's coming to Kansas City? Make it real simple. Guess who's coming to Kansas City? Everybody know how to get a hold of MC Richardson. And he will get a hold of Scott and myself. That's called MC Richardson. And he will be there for you. He has all of our information. You can always contact us 24 hours a day. Am I right, Scott?
That's correct, sir. Except after 10, I'm usually asleep. So.
He now we have some conversation later at night. So right now he knows to get me. But now we are so happy that MC is a well-known person in Kansas City. And by the way, this show has been around over 30 years. So right now that's why I said, rather than trying to confuse people, just get hold of MC Richardson, the founder of this program, and also the creator of this program. I'm just happy to be part of the team.
As we are getting ready to close once again, but the people, Scott, how can they retrieve Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City and other shows on Ferguson USA Hot Talk Radio?
Well, you could always go to Ferguson USA Hot Talk Radio, and under podcast library, you can find any show that we have created over the last 3 years.
No, I know you love to say the Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce. We'll say it one more time, brother.
The Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce, thank you. We thank you for Mr. Richardson, who is a part of our chamber, who we successfully moved into our station, and he's been a happy camper and is continuing to grow into all his family members around the world. Thank you for behalf of all of us. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day.
And we're not forgetting what's coming in June. Father's Day, but on next Saturday's show, we like to keep people, I guess, organic type food, but we will have the people from the consumer will have this address, which is the headquarters, will start doing that. And a lot of people use flower pots to plant tomatoes or whatever. And they said, Gordon, unless you can eat, I might be a little different and plant some roses in the front. But other than that, everything we plant, when they said, Gordon, I want something to plant that you can eat. But be sure to tune in. And the other thing, we need more people. And we're looking for, just like everything else, you look at radio, you look at the TV, and you listen to radio, they have sponsors, because if it wasn't for the advertisers and the sponsors, none of those things would exist. So we want to put this station, Ferguson USA High Talk Radio, and other shows and things, we want them to be as meaningful financially as your opportunity to provide you to listen and see and find out what's going on with the no-nonsense media.
Thank you, sir.
Well, with that, I think I'm going to have my brunch of celebrating Mother's Day. Sorry my mother's not here, but I will eat and say a prayer for her. So thank you very much, and what we normally say, we're out of here. Thank you.
And life is good, peace, big, and well face mask.